Again, I don't know that you have to wait this entire timeline. I think that back on the other page here, they have it taking a year or so. And I don't know that this whole cycle takes that long. It depends on the group you have and the attitude of that company. And I don't know that I've seen every, like I said, I haven't seen conflict in every team I've worked with. So I just want you to be a little bit exposed to that. We spent a lot of time on slide 39. My goal is just to give you a couple of these we haven't talked about yet. One of the most difficult things you're going to try to do in a team environment is get people to give open and honest communication. I said probably one of the toughest things you're going to have to overcome. I was in a monthly quality team meeting this morning, and there was one of the guys was talking about, in this particular example, was shift change. And there was a discussion about why people can't get off of work on time. Why are you having to stay over anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour after your shift's supposed to have ended? Why are you still here? It's very interesting. We had a nice, probably 30 to 45-minute conversation in the team this morning about this issue. And he said that sometimes the people coming on for the next shift will hang around in the break room for 15 or 20 minutes and not even show up to the floor. I was like, well, there you go. You've done lost 15 or 20 minutes. And he said, well, how do you know this? Well, I used to be guilty of that myself. Okay, well, now we're getting somewhere. And you think about this individual feels comfortable enough to say that in this team. Right? Think about what it means for him to say that in the team. Yeah. He felt it was okay to admit his own errors. Okay. And you know what? Part of this team's mission is to go out and conduct monthly audits of the finished packaging in the production area. And we divide up into groups of, I think, 3 different sub-teams and go out and do these audits. And I was with him this morning. And he was tenacious on his auditing process and looking at finished products in the facility. He was on it. He was finding stuff, finding details, and pointing out things. And he was really on his game today. I thought, wow, what if we had 9 people on this team just like him? We would be in great shape. So getting to somebody to tell you what's really happening is not easy to accomplish. Because they don't want to rat their friends out, or they don't want to tell something on themselves. Right? But you got to create this environment where it's okay to say that. We've tried to do that, and it's not easy to get there. Will they trust me not to run to management with the information? Yes? Yes. I'm not going to say this individual is sloughing off. Now we're getting great information. So I'm not going to run to management with this information. Not at all. I didn't even put it in the minutes, right? That stuff is not going to show up in those minutes. Everybody with me? Okay. So, and I'm not saying we got open communication among all the individuals. I had one of the team members after this morning come up to me after the meeting and talk about something he wasn't comfortable sharing in the meeting. Okay, you can look at that 2 ways. One, we don't have the open communication and trust inside the meeting for him to say anything, or he brought it to me one way or the other. At least we got it. Agreed? I mean, it may not be exactly what we wanted, but at least you brought it to me. So it's a struggle. I mean, not everyone has the same comfort level of saying something in front of other people. All right, we can attest to that in this classroom. Not everyone's willing to raise their hand and talk. Right? Even if you know the answer. So Getting open communication and trust is a battle. Getting full participation is a battle. You can look around in our classroom and think about that. Are we willing to state something that isn't popular, confront problems head on, or are we just going to ignore the fact that this problem exists? So those are things. Okay, we've talked about a bunch of that. I've given you some text to support that. This was, I was telling Teresa on the way over, she was asking if I read a book. I was like, you're going to be kidding me? I do read USA Today and CNN. This has been many years ago that this was on. This was actually, this was in USA Today. It was in paper format. Right. Hence newspaper. Reasons for team failures. And I must have been on a conference somewhere and actually got a paper in the hotel and looked at this. But unclear goals and changing objectives, which I take changing goals or unclear goals, the biggest reasons the team didn't do well. And then they're not held accountable for accomplishing something. That's the next biggest reason the team didn't do well. Or management not supporting the team. They're not really sure who's supposed to do what. So you can see some of the reasons why teams aren't doing well. We spoke of a team charter earlier, and I'm giving you this template here as something you may want to use when you start teams in your company, people who work for you. And so this is kind of the questions that we should be asking. Business case, why are we doing this? State our goals, our project plan. You might state in your opportunity statement, what pain are we experiencing? How do we know we have this problem? What's your scope and who are the team members? So I've given you this example on slide 45 from my Six Sigma training. It's a little bit tough to read on this computer, but you've got a PowerPoint you can look at. So let's look at the business case. It says our current delivery time average is 72 hours for this product, and customers are requiring it in 48 hours. Our competitors are meeting the 48-hour requirement, and we are losing about 1.5% of our customer base per month for the last 10 months to the tune of $75,000 a month. Depending on who you are, that could be a lot of money. Okay. New sales are down 10%. So that's $60,000 a month. So now we're adding up the money per month that we're losing. By decreasing our delivery time, we anticipate the loss of current customer base to drop below 0.3%. That's a guess. Okay? Right? You're anticipating it. You're hoping it's going to be down to that. But at least you've tried. And you're anticipating some increase in sales. Again, that's a guess. You don't know. Okay? So you're making a compelling business case monetarily of what's going on. And there's some goals there. To reduce the cycle time to 48 hours by a certain date. Okay? To reduce the number of defects from 20,000 to 2,000 by the end of the year. So again, very measurable and with a time limit, a due date. There's a project plan there. They tell you that we're going to look at the order processing process from the time the call enters the system to the product in the customer's hands. So you know from beginning to end what the scope is. You got the team members there. And so the beauty of this charter is it's a one-page description of what your team is set out to do. One page. Here's our team. Here's what they're supposed to be doing. Later on, when you got to report progress, you got to make a quarterly report. You can go back to the charter and say, how are we doing? Very, very important to have a charter. Because the top management is going to be looking at this one page and saying, oh, we have that project team looking at order processing. How are they doing? Well, they're going to go back to this goal statement and say, well, you said you were going to reduce number of defects from 20,000 to 2,000. Where are we at on that? Okay, so this charter is a way to remind ourselves of why we're here and to clear one-page description of what's going on. Okay, so that's what that's for, and that is a take on our Teams presentation. Any questions or concerns about Teams? Okay, well, I highly encourage you to consider them as a strategy. They affect culture. They affect making improvements and so on.